Imagine spending years learning English, attending classes, memorizing grammar rules, and practicing every day, and yet you still make mistakes. Why does this happen? Why do learners from different countries make similar mistakes? Why do language learners seem to follow predictable stages of development? And why can a learner use perfect English in one situation but struggle in another? Today, on The Knowledge Room, we are uncovering one of the most fascinating mysteries of language learning: learn a language. By the end of this video, you will understand how language learners think, why errors are actually signs of progress, how language develops step by step, why learners vary in performance, and how they learn to communicate appropriately in real-life situations. Let's dive into the world of learn a language. When people learn a new language, they do not immediately speak like native speakers. Instead, they create a temporary language system of their own. This is called learn a language. Researchers study learn a language because it helps them understand how second language learning actually happens. Rod Ellis identifies 4 key areas: 1. Learner errors. 2. Developmental patterns. 3. Variability. 4. Pragmatic features. Together, these help explain how learners gradually build language knowledge. Before the late 1960s, very little research focused on second language learning. Researchers became interested for 2 main reasons. First, they wanted to understand how languages are learned. Second, they wanted to improve language teaching. Many people believed learners simply transferred habits from their first language. Researchers decided to test this idea by examining learn a language. Their findings transformed language education. Most learners see mistakes as failures. Researchers saw them differently. They discovered that errors are signs of learning. For example, when a learner says, "He go to school yesterday," the sentence is wrong, but it reveals how the learner currently understands English grammar. Errors became valuable clues about the learning process. This led to a new approach called error analysis. Error analysis became one of the earliest methods used to study language acquisition. Researchers collected learner samples. They identified mistakes. They classified them. Then they looked for patterns. Their goal was simple: to understand why learners make errors and what those errors reveal about learning. They discovered that learners actively create language rules rather than simply copying what they hear. Researchers found 2 major types of errors. The first is transfer errors. These occur when learners apply patterns from their first language to the new language. The second is developmental errors. For example, "I runned yesterday." The learner knows that many past tense verbs end in ed. They simply apply the rule too widely. Researchers found that developmental errors often occur more frequently than transfer errors. This showed that learners actively construct language systems. Error analysis was useful, but it focused only on mistakes. It could not explain everything about language learning. Researchers needed a broader approach. One major discovery was that language develops in stages. Learning is not random. Many learners begin with a silent period where they listen more than they speak. Next, they use memorized expressions such as, "I don't know," or "What's this?" These are called formulas. Gradually, learners begin creating their own sentences. Over time, their language becomes more accurate and complex. Researchers also discovered that some language features are learned before others. This is known as acquisition order. They found that learners follow predictable sequences when learning grammar. For example, questions and negatives develop through specific stages. These findings suggest that language learning follows natural developmental routes. Learners cannot simply skip stages. An important question emerged: can classroom instruction speed up development? Research suggests that teaching can help learners acquire grammatical features. However, learners must be developmentally ready. Teachers can support learning, but they cannot force learners to skip natural stages. This finding has important implications for language education. Effective teaching works with the learner's developmental readiness rather than against it. Sometimes learners use a rule correctly and incorrectly within the same conversation. This is called variability. It is a normal part of learning. Research showed that variability is often systematic. Language use changes depending on context. Factors include: 1. Who the learner is speaking to. 2. The task being performed. 3. The amount of planning time available. 4. And the language environment. A learner may speak more accurately during a formal interview than during a casual conversation. Researchers discovered that learners do more than imitate native speakers. They build their own temporary language systems. These systems connect meanings and language forms in unique ways. As learners gain experience, these systems gradually move closer to the target language. This shows that learners are active creators of knowledge. Learning grammar is not enough. Learners must also know how to use language appropriately. This area is known as pragmatics. It involves 1. Making requests. 2. Giving apologies. 3. Offering compliments. 4. Making complaints. 5. Starting conversations. 6. And taking turns during discussions. Pragmatic competence helps learners communicate effectively in real-life situations. A sentence can be grammatically correct and still sound inappropriate. Imagine telling a stranger, "I want you to come with me." The grammar is correct, but the message may sound rude. Research has found that many learners struggle with using language appropriately in different social situations. This shows that successful communication requires more than grammar. It also requires understanding culture, context, and social expectations. Today, we have learned about learner language, and also we know that errors are signs of progress. Developmental patterns show that language grows through stages. Variability reveals the influence of context. And pragmatics reminds us that communication is about more than grammar. Together, these discoveries changed our understanding of language learning. Every mistake, every stage, and every attempt to communicate is part of the journey toward mastery. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more educational content. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep expanding your knowledge.